Hello, welcome back to another episode of Can I Come Over? We're your hosts, Nicole,
Jovia and Renata.
and in today's episode, we are officially kicking off with season 2, episode 1, and we are going to be talking about university, all things related to studying abroad, if it's worth it, and so on. But before that, of course, we have our current obsessions.
Of course. Nicole, please start us off.
Yes, so my current obsession is another makeup product. It is a blush called from the company K Beauty. It's an Indian celebrity owned brand and it's really good. The blush is super pigmented. It's like a moussey texture, and I would compare the level of pigmentation to like a Rare Beauty blush. And the brand is cruelty free, it's vegan, and it's very much catered to like Indian skin types, the geographic aspects and stuff. However, I do think that it's only available in India and maybe the Middle East. I'm not sure, but if you're able to get your hands on it, I highly recommend. Um, yeah, that's my current obsession. What about yours, Jovia?
Mine, we're going to be so surprised. Yet again, it's a book.
Oh my god.
No way. No way. But I've actually just finished reading The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which is I think pretty much like a classic. It came out, I think, in 87. And, it's been a classic. A lot of people, I think, read it in high school or college level literature classes. But I'd never read it before in any academic context. I read it personally for myself. And I think it's a great book. I think it's dystopian and it talks about really disturbing themes. But then the thing is, with today's sort of political landscape and women's rights and everything, when you really think about it, you're just is it really that far of a dystopian future? So it gets you thinking and it gets you really uncomfortable, but I seem to enjoy that uncomfortable because it was intentional, I think. And for the kind of things that this book talks about, I think it's necessary to feel uncomfortable. But I think it's well written, and I just love the way it was structured as a story. And it has a main character that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, but also at the same time do I empathize with this person? I love, it's that kind of a character, and you really do travel with the main character in time. So I think it's a great book, and I think every woman should read it at least once.
Yeah, I agree.
That's great. That's crazy. I've actually wanted to read it for a while. I've gotten it recommended. I've read extracts.
We had it for a class.
Yeah, I never fully read it. I read a couple chapters
same.
or so, but I've wanted to sit down and read it. Definitely. For me, my obsession for this week has definitely been yet once again another album. Not too long ago, the lead singer from the Marias, Maria, she released this individual project called Not for Radio, and out of this, her first album, or I don't know if it's an album or an EP, but I'm pretty sure that it's a full album called Melt. Oh my god, it is so good. I highly recommend it. It's such an interesting concept because she wants this whole project to be more of a seasonal thing and really, really, really kind of link it to the environment and for people to be fully submerged in this experience on the way that the world changes around them, and also freely expressing themes of loss, of grief, of love. So I love it. I love it. I've been playing it on repeat. I don't think I can get up without listening to it. It's so good.
It sounds amazing.
It is.
Thanks. It is. I forced her to listen to it. So
but yeah, let's
get right into it, guys.
So now that we've gone over our obsessions, the real deal about universities. The three of us can definitely talk about this in very extensive manner, especially the study abroad aspect, because we're all studying abroad. But why did you choose this? Why did we decide to spend the final years of our high school just figuring out what university to go to, what type of courses to take, what to study, to go through applying for every single university and also paying the application fee
Yeah.
multiple times. And then after that, once deciding on a place in a university, going through the whole visa process. Why did we do this?
Why did we do that to ourselves?
Yeah,
No,
why?
really, genuinely, why did we do that to ourselves? I mean, I think it was a given, kind of like this whole idea of going to university. At least for me, I know for you guys, maybe like, was it a given for you guys of like, oh yeah, I'm going to university, regardless of what happens, if it rains, it falls, it hails, if I take a gap year, was it a
Yeah.
given for you?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
university was a given, but not like university abroad.
University abroad, yeah. I think for me, university abroad was, thankfully, and I know that I am very lucky for this, it was a given, and it was something that I was always like, oh yeah, like you're gonna study abroad, because it was something that once we moved abroad, it was like, okay, yeah, like if you want to stay, that's an option, but if you already have this opportunity and we have the resources for this, then go ahead and study abroad. And I think for me, at least, choosing Prague was something almost like a dormant dream, because of the fact that for the longest time, when I was looking for universities, I had completely forgotten about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I kind of like stumbled upon Prague, and like Prague as an option, I hyperfixated on it, and I went, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, and I'm gonna shoot my shot, and I think it's gonna be great. and it worked out, and it worked out incredibly, and I'm so thankful for the entire experience, because it's not like, yeah, it's applying and all these sort of things, but it comes with this whole very big experience of living alone, of figuring out things for yourself, of meeting new people, of putting yourself out there, of trying to figure yourself out as well, even if we don't really, because we kind of, it takes our whole lives to figure ourselves out, but it's a really cool part of this journey, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with you. The whole aspect. I think it's what eventually led me to studying abroad. Because, like we all previously said, university has always been the only thing I saw myself doing after college. So, I mean, after high school, simply because it's what everyone does. That's what you've been told. That's what you see. So I always knew I would go to college, but I always thought that I would take the typical route of either like of most probably going back to India where my parents are from, and going back to the part of India that they're from, and probably study there, pick up something, and just live with family or something like that is what I thought I would do. But I think like sometime like when I got into high school, and then was like more like when I was wrapping up high school, I just wanted to like I think it was the whole idea of like living alone, going to a different country, going to a place where like people are speaking a different language, where the society is completely different than the one I was raised in, where people look different than me. So all of that, I think there was a lot of excitement in that last year when I was like applying it. Like you said, it was a lot of excitement. It was curiosity, it was nervousness, but predominantly excitement for me. And I think that like feeling of like excitement and nervousness to like go abroad, see something new, because my world was very limited before I moved abroad to the place that I lived in. So I wanted to see something different, and I wanted to experience something different. And I think it also was a lot based on the idea of how the grass is greener on the other side. I always thought that life is better in like this in Europe where I am right now. I always thought like, education is different, and the standard of living, maybe this society would be better fitted for me. And I had all of these like thoughts and all of these ideals as to what it would be like. Some of it is true, some of it is not. That's a completely different discussion. But that idea of like curiosity, of like finding out what it's like, mostly made up my decision of studying abroad. And obviously also the fact that I could make it comes from the fact that I was in a like financial and societal situation where I could afford, and that it was possible for me to do this. And yeah, I think mostly that for me.
Yeah, for me as well, like it was kind of like a mix of both of your experience, because I kind of always knew that I wanted to study abroad. But I was also very unsure of it, and I was like, I'm probably gonna end up going back home and going to like a local university or something. But again, I'm very grateful, and like also a disclaimer that whatever we're speaking from a place of like gratefulness, and also we're very aware that we are privileged and we have the opportunity to be able
Yes.
to talk about this in the first place. um Having said that, I just kind of knew what I wanted to study, and course of action was to look at like universities that could offer me the best degree in terms of what I wanted to study, and also some place that could be affordable and feasible enough, you know. So that's how my decision process went. Um, and then also it led to like this whole university experience of meeting new people, getting opportunities to do things like this,
Yeah.
and just like learning different cultures, different ideologies, the way the different people think. um traveling, getting to travel a lot and socializing, and all of that has definitely, just been another token of what came with the university experience, especially studying abroad. I also think another aspect of it is genuinely like living independently, because I can compare it to like some other people that I know who are studying back home. They are independent, but they're not independent enough where they're paying bills or they're um cooking for themselves 3 times a day. Like, those more subtle independence.
Yeah, like the mundane.
Yeah, the mundane things. But all of that has kind of tied in.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a bonus to studying abroad. Like there is the whole social aspect of university, there's the educational aspect and everything. But when you're studying abroad, I think there's a completely different dimension. And especially for like us, I don't think we've lived that long away from like our parents. So I think like that sense of like independence is definitely like very new, and I think taught me a lot of things, and I think taught us a lot of things.
For sure. But yeah, it's just like, but then also, the again comes back to like the whole thing of like, oh, like this is what we were conditioned to
To
choose.
believe.
You know what's so funny? Sorry, but
No,
it's
it's fine.
just a little thing. For me, one of the things that I looked forward to the most when I was thinking of being independent and moving abroad and all that sort of thing was just being able to grab my things and go to a coffee shop and like study or do work. And ironically enough, as much as I love doing it, or I love going to see different places and all that sort of thing, I barely do it. We barely do it because we just spend all our time either in our rooms or at university or doing all sorts of other things. But I think even now, it's the little sort of moments of independence that I still really truly appreciate and truly cherish.
Yeah.
Because I know how much me from 4 or 5 years ago really wanted to have these little moments where they do make the whole university experience, the whole, hey, do you want to go grab a cup of coffee after class? Hey, do you want to run this errand with me after class? And all these sort of things that, because of the place that I grew up in, I didn't have the chance to do those things. I didn't have the mobility nor the freedom to do them. And so I think for me, this whole idea of the university experience went beyond just the education and the opportunity, but a chance to kind of change the lifestyle that I had completely over. So I think I really love that. I really love it about it, and I do think, for me at least, it does feel worth it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That aspect definitely, like, I had expectations for a lot of things from university, but the one thing that has like truly lived up to my expectations is the independence aspect. For sure. I mean, are there horrible roadblocks sometimes? Are there really hard days? I'm not gonna just sit around and say that it's amazing being an independent woman. Like,
it's all sunshine and rainbows. No,
it isn't. There are really bad days sometimes, Sometimes the days when the loneliness hits, sometimes when you miss home. There are those days, but I think when you look at it from like a bigger picture, it is a learning experience, and it has more positives than negatives for me, at least. And I think we also have to mention, like, living alone is also a possibility for us because we're financially supported
Yeah.
by our families. It's a lot more difficult for someone else who doesn't have that backing to accomplish this setup. So it is, we're also very, very grateful for that as well.
For sure. But yeah, and like that again, we're like, we are conditioned to just go into this route of like going to university, but what if we didn't do it?
What if we didn't?
What if we didn't? I think we ask ourselves this all the time of like, what if we had stayed home, or what if we didn't?
Yeah, what if we didn't go to university? Where do you think you would have been?
No clue.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
Yeah, because that's how conditioned we are to, like, just, it's like primary school, then middle school, high school, university, and then after you either do your master's or get into the corporate world. Like
it's the only true routes. And I find that really interesting how the first time that we asked ourselves this, it was so hard to answer it, and even now it is so hard to answer it.
It is.
Because it's that normal and common and socially expected for us to do so, given our financial positions, given our educational background, given so many things from our life, our world, the people that surround us. It's just a given, and it's imposed, and it's not a bad thing necessarily. I just don't think that university for everyone is such a feasible option. That it's not a one size fits all, guys.
Yes. That is definitely true. And it, like, in, at least I agree with that totally, at least in my case, because if I think what I would be doing right now if not in university, I cannot answer that question. I just cannot, because as far back as I can think in terms of like memories, that has been the way. Now, whether it has been the way I saw it in the media or the people in my family, like almost everyone in my family have had the good fortune of going to university. So being surrounded by, like, my cousins, for example, growing up, graduating high school, going to college, and then going for their masters or whatever it is, I've always seen everyone around me, even in like movies, take that path. So it's been the only path I've ever seen people go down. So it's almost like you can't, it's almost like an unimaginable utopia for me. Like that concept of where would I be if not at university.
It's really freaky as well, because the other thing, and this is a really important point for us to bring up, is the fact that the three of us are doing Bachelor of Arts, which means that we have a lot of like kind of practical and theoretical flexibility, whereas if you go onto something that is a lot more profound in the knowledge that you need and the credentials that you need, whether you're becoming a lawyer or a doctor or someone in the medical or nursing field, like it's a lot more different there, and there's outliers. There are a lot of outliers. Vocational
training. The vocational training fields, I think, like, can be exempt from this conversation. Because you would need a degree to perform a brain surgery. Unfortunately,
you can't just have credibility from Grey's Anatomy.
No, I hope not. Please no. But I think because of it, and this goes back to the thing of like, I don't think one size fits all for university. It's not a new conversation. It's not something, we're not being revolutionary with this. We want to put our penny into this really big pot of conversation. But I mean, I think I really do think of the sort of experience and the knowledge that I've gained over the past 3-4 years, and it does make me question if it was a better way for me to attain it. Because I do think that ultimately companies, corporations, jobs, and people in general who seek to make business with you or do business with you in any sort of way, they look for that piece of paper. Doesn't matter what it is, they look for either that piece of paper, unless you have really good contacts or you're in a completely different and very privileged circumstance. People need that degree. And I think there are way better ways of possibly looking past that degree. Right? What if we would have had the chance and the opportunity, and it was not expected upon, and it was actually encouraged for us to go ahead and, I don't know, do this very long internship or dive like straight into a passion of ours. And
Yeah, like a creative field, and I build my portfolio with like a bunch of
Yeah.
projects. Like, what if that was enough to, prove that my talent and my credibility to be able to work in a certain position is valid?
Mhm.
Like all of these things. Like, for example, even nowadays, for let's say an actor, right? Even they need like some previous experience or some form of credibility to back their talent up. Like, the
Mhm.
talent aspect is not
Yeah.
enough
Like you
most of
should
the
have had,
time.
some sort of like acting workshop, or
Yeah,
like
like
some sort of
taken acting
acting
classes,
school.
or have worked previously in other projects, or I don't know what else, but
something
Yeah.
like, I think there's like a fine line and a very delicate balance between the two, because there are definitely workshops and working with people and learning to work in the field and learning from other people who have worked in it is helpful.
oh,
But do
100%.
you really need 3 or 4 degrees and a couple of courses that in your life you're gonna need, and all the sort of things where you really, those type of classes where you're sitting in university and you're like, why am I paying?
Yeah.
Like, this is literally a required class for my course, and why am I paying for this? I could have learned this entire thing in a 5-minute long YouTube video. Like,
Yeah.
why? And there are people who learn stuff from YouTube,
Yeah.
from other
Exactly.
learning platforms that have so much more knowledge, so much more experience, because it's something that they're so passionate about. So what if we advocated for like a society and this reshaping of the idea, of the expectation, where we look towards our passions and we encourage those passions and we encourage the nourishment of those passions, rather than a paper for you to be able to end up in a corporate machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it also, like you said, the internet today, it has become a space where everything is so accessible to those who haven't had the access to internet, of course, that everything is open source. Like on a platform like YouTube, for example, because we already mentioned it, or other platforms on the internet like Coursera, or Google has a lot of certifications as well.
Yeah.
LinkedIn has certifications. You can you can easily access, comparatively easily access knowledge. And there are people out there who've been self-taught on a lot of skills. It's not even knowledge. Obviously, knowledge is, there's a huge database of knowledge available on YouTube. You can learn about anything you want. If anything so niche, even a small niche historical event that you want to hyperfixate on for the week,
Oh yeah.
you can find a dozen YouTube videos on it. So skills are a completely different thing. On editing, cinematography, like animating, sound design, production, anything under the sun you can think of, there is a lot of explanatory videos on YouTube. And there are professionals who've been trained off of this and now are like working in the professional market. And I think that's a testament to how knowledge has become in today's age a little bit more open source.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not as much as it ideally should be, because it does bring up the question, the whole bigger question of like, should knowledge be privatized? And should it be, like you said, should it come down to just that piece of paper, or should it be more nuanced as a society where there are more metrics to measuring it than just a piece of paper?
Exactly.
100%. I think it's kind of so conflicting, and as well, I do find myself wondering, even though I don't know the answer to it, coming back to this question of what would I be doing if I wasn't in university? Because I genuinely, my mind goes so blank that I really, really wish that I could have an answer for it, and that I would have had the chance to think about it and to allow myself to imagine that part of my life and maybe even chase for it. Right? And it's very few people who dare to jump into that question, and who dare to give it a shot and say, you know what, I don't care, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go against the status quo. I'm not gonna go to university. I'm gonna go to this, or I'm gonna chase this opportunity, or do XYZ. And I really wish that a lot more people were encouraged to do the same, because that would, I think, be like kind of the utopia of knowledge, of university, of the institution. Because the other thing as well is, if the very harsh and truthful reality is the fact that if you are not going to a university that has a really privileged name, and it's very well renowned and it's very well known, if you're not going to Cambridge or Oxford or one of the big ITs or anything of the sort, then people and corporations, they don't really care what university you went to. Unless you have a really, really, really big name on your paper, it kind of doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
And that's a very harsh reality, which in one side it favors, because then you have this flexibility of choosing a university that fits you and your needs. But at the same time, maybe you can better off spend that money on something else, if it weren't that you need the paper.
Yeah, exactly. Like how, again, in this whole utopia of like universities not having as much of a weight to just that piece of paper, the hiring process, how would it look like, you know? Like they would look more into the experience that you have, or rather the skills that you have gained, even if it's from learning something off of YouTube, like how to work with Adobe Photoshop, right? Or learning how to be a cinematographer on YouTube, things like that. Or if you're able to like put that on your resume, and that being looked at rather than just the degree, oh, I've done a Bachelor of Arts in Media and Communication, that is the only thing. Or I don't know, like looking at different portfolios and stuff, like that also matters in the corporate, or not corporate, but like in general, in like any sort of work field, like the skills that you possess. And
even maybe the weight that even if it's not just, we're not talking about completely invalidating the degree. It would be a rearranging of where what now appears at the top of your resume as the university you went to would now maybe be like third or fourth, and like the experiences you've gained, the projects you've worked on would come first or second, because ideally that would matter more.
Because that's actually practical application of your skills that you have put
that forth. You would have hypothetically learned from your university degree.
Exactly.
And the other thing is, if by doing so, I feel like it opens up a whole other world, and this question of like the privatization of knowledge, because in that case, people who have not had the chance to go to university, to spend time, to spend the money, to spend the effort, because it's a lot, especially if you don't have the resources, nor the privilege, nor the time and tools to do it, you're giving so many more people the chance to go at it in these very, very, how can I put it? It's in these fields that have become a lot more closed off to the sort of thing, and where like, well, you can have this, but you don't have a degree, and that's where it stops, because apparently a piece of paper now holds so much weight, whereas again, we could redistribute this, and if it were to be redistributed, then the opportunities that would come out of it would be so many for so many people.
It opens up it gives access to a whole other demographic who's otherwise alienated from this pool. I think that's important as well, definitely.
So with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us once again. We hope that you're as excited for the second season as we are. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on all of our content here and on our social media, which will be linked down below. And come knocking at our door whenever you want.
Bye.